this is definitely not a new tool. This is actually a very, very old tool. I mean, not old like time-wise, I just bought it at Harbor Freight of all places. But it is a mini grinder, which I absolutely love, and I bought it for one reason alone. I don't really need a grinder per se, but this has a very cool attachment. So this slides into the end of here. If I can find, there we go. It slides into the end, and it runs off of the motor that is part of the grinder. Yes, I know they've been around for a while, but with all the stuff on my truck, I really can't have, and my trailer, I really can't afford to have bigger and new tools added to my collection time and time and again. Although I would love to, I would have to get a bigger trailer to facilitate that. So I got this mini grinder, and I put it on a scrap piece of 2x6, which I will keep with me, and it's easily accessible. So at the other end of this is an attachment that's on this, I didn't even measure it, I think it's 3 foot, it might be 3 foot long tube that you can actually attach different attachments to. This happens to be a wheel, a diamond coated wheel that's very, very thin, by the way, which is why I bought it specifically. And the reason that I bought it, and there are different attachments obviously that can go on there, very easy to take off and to take on. And RPM on here goes up to 1,000 RPM on a 3-inch wheel, which is very, very awesome. So not only does it have the grinding wheel, but it also has this very, very tough abrasive buffer, and that's very cool for tile. And some people call it, I call it Dremel, only because this is a brand name that I have, but oscillating tool is what it's kind of referred to sometimes. So if you see on here clearly, and this is a brand new blade, these teeth on here are very, very small. And you'll go through one of these, well, I go through one of these probably, I'm going to say after about my second or third job, I'm done. And they're expensive. And so I get this one at Harbor Freight only because it's about, they run from about $6 to $8. Sometimes the larger ones will be like $12. But if you go to Home Depot, you'll pay another third on top of that. So instead of $6 to $8, you'll pay about $10 to $12. The expense stops me from getting these very often. I use them for undercuts. I use them for a lot of different reasons, including on sheetrock. And yes, the blade will last a long time if all you're doing is cutting sheetrock. But I cut very, very many. I cut a lot of stuff. I cut a lot of stuff with this thing, including PVC pipe and all kinds of stuff. And I have different sizes of these. The problem is they wear down. And when they wear down, you're looking at something like this, and this is a larger one. There's no teeth left. I use this until it's just dead. Until literally the wood will be smoking. I use it because, again, this is a larger one, and this costs a good part of $12, $13 for just one of these blades alone. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. So, again, this is a brand new blade with little tiny teeth on it that's going to go away. And then this is one that I, kind of hacked up. So there's another video on refurbishing these old blades, and on that video it purports that you could use a file on a vise, that you're going to file down your own little notches on here. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm going to take that much time and energy? I'd rather spend the $7. So what I did, getting back to the wheel, is I bought, well, actually I bought this. It's about $35, $37 for this, which isn't bad. That'll get you about 5 blades, and that's it. These wheels come in a 5-pack, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I paid about $7 for. I'd have to look at the receipt. And I already, as I said, hacked up this blade here, and with very little effort as far as like waste goes on one of these wheels. You can see the new wheel is almost exactly the size of the old wheel. Like there's no discrepancy after I'm done doing one blade. So these 5 blades that I have extra will last me a whole bunch of these hack jobs. And when I say hack job, very nice, neat across like that. And then my hack job blade is anything but. However, oh, and I have the tape on here for a reason. So you could use a magic marker or something like that, but I want to give myself a little parameter. I want to give myself a guide. So I went down probably about 1/4 of an inch with a flat piece of tape that got messed up to let me know how deep that I'm going to set these grooves with my wheel. And of course, you know, the grooves aren't all sharp necessarily, although they don't have to be. And they're not all consistent, which they don't have to be. So they will still cut and do everything I want it to do. If I'd taken more time, I could have gotten it prettier. But in the end, practicality matters more than looks to me. And it's practical. And so when that one starts to go bad, look how much more blade I have. This is the same blade I just got through showing you. That just is like smooth. Smooth. So I throw this in my tool bag that the Dremel comes with, and I just save these. And I had no reason for saving them. I just don't like throwing things away, and I'm glad I saved them because, again, I'm going to go onto this grinder with this wheel, and I'm going to cut down, and I'm going to make notches all across there, and I'm going to have, for all intents and purposes, a brand new blade for $1, because ultimately, or $1.50, that's what these cost individually when you get the pack. But I also bought this vise from Harbor Freight because, again, I don't have a vise in a shop anywhere. And ironically, look how well this fits in here. So it goes in sideways at the bottom. Oh, by the way, that's the way it's supposed to set. And yes, it's rudimentary, but it cost me like $8 at Harbor Freight, which is a fair price. I didn't anchor it to anything. I don't know that I ever will, but I set it up sideways for a reason, because now I can just slip it back into that hole sideways, which fits perfectly, and then I can just run down the vise and clamp it in there to give me a good stability, so when I'm doing my my cuts, it won't slide around and stuff like that. See? Look at that, just perfect. I know the lighting is bad in here. But now I just tighten that down really tight. See if I get better lighting going that way. Yay! So I just tighten that down, and now I can take my wheel and go across here multiple times. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty, and it doesn't have to be necessarily angled like this and then angled like that. You could if you wanted to. And I'll probably get a dozen of these cuts in here and make this blade brand new. And I'll have plenty of other space on that blade to make that happen as well. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're going to call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post a video. And thank you very much for your support.